got some of the things, but didn't get it all done. And we're going to dive right in, doing some chopping. We got lots of chopping and lots of cans to open. Because yes, sometimes we do everything from scratch, and sometimes make it easier, especially since we're going to do multiple sides. That is loud. So, if you're out there, say hello. Would love to hear from you. Let me know where you're from if you haven't told me before. I'd love to know where people are watching from. It's really fun. And today we are making an enchilada casserole. If you are Hispanic, I will apologize in advance because it's probably not what you're used to. It's an Americanized version, let's put it that way. So we're going to chop up our onion, and then we're going to get this going in the oven. Once we do that, we're going to start some, we're going to start making some kind of a riff on street corn, because this girl doesn't do cilantro. And then we're going to do a cauliflower Mexican fried rice, and then a very simple version of Mexican fried rice for IT guy. Mine will be cauliflower, his will be regular. So there you go. But first thing we're going to do is get this onion chopped up, and then we're going to get that in a pan. Get that going. Now I'm following kind of a basic recipe for this, but I'm adapting a chicken enchilada recipe, and we're going to use ground beef today because that's what my family likes. As I tell you always, you do you, and the world will adjust. Or not. Sometimes you got to let the world go, or at least parts of the world. Just got to find your own little community. Alrighty. I'll do it. Toss in some olive oil. We got all kinds of ingredients here today. Looks like I knocked over a grocery store. I assure you I didn't. Turn that up just a tad. We will start with our onion. Normally I would like that pan to be a little hotter, but it didn't happen that way today. I think, if I am not mistaken, that's the only thing left I had to cut up, was that onion. So we are going to put this in the sink. Whoa, sorry about that. And then I'm going to pull out a spoon. I'm going to turn this up to get this sizzling. And we're going to, this one calls for bell peppers. I'm going to use green chilies because I prefer that. Hey, Joan. Sorry, my chat is not where it normally is. IT guy usually makes it a full screen for me, and he did not do that today. He was in a hurry to get to something, so if he hears me, he'll come down and hopefully fix that for me. Got to figure out, I know there's an easy way to do it. I'm going to have him do it for me. But we're going to have a lot of, today's Today there's a lot of things in cans. And the reason there are a lot of things in cans is, again, because of the parasite. So sometimes you just want to make it easy. Sometimes you've got other reasons for doing things. So I thought about making some homemade, thank you, dear, some homemade gluten-free tortillas, but I found these guys at the store, and these things, they have they're soft enough. I think my family will enjoy them. So, and they've got some fiber in them, and they're gluten-free. So, hooray! Oh, they're also, it's interesting. It says made with avocado oil. I don't know if Joan, I don't know if you were around last week when I was talking about this, but I'm allergic to avocados. But I decided to test the theory, and I bought an avocado last week because sometimes you do. I grew out of a lot of things that I was allergic to as a kid. I was allergic to raisins. I was allergic to peanuts. I was allergic to peanut butter, and I was allergic to what am I missing? Tuna fish. That was the other one. I still don't eat tuna fish. For some reason, that one stuck with me that I can't eat tuna out of a can. But for everything else, I outgrew that. But then I developed new allergies within the last 10 years. Raspberries being one, which is actually not a bad one to have right now. The only berry I can eat is a blueberry. And but I tried an avocado last week, and I'm still allergic. Darn it. Wasn't horrible. I'm okay. And that's the nice thing. Mine's not like so severe that I'm anaphylactic. I will eventually be anaphylactic if I overdo it, but I can eat like a bite or two. And if I get the itch, and I didn't right away, but we went out shopping afterwards, and it was about an hour later, and I was like, oh, the lips are tingling. Okay. So I didn't eat much for that very reason, just in case the reaction was delayed. So I'm glad I only ate a bite or two. It's a bummer. It was my cardiologist when he was talking about, yeah, food allergies are a pain. But when I was talking to my cardiologist, he was saying, and I said, look, here's the thing. I'm not gonna, hey Christy, I said, I am not going to eat salmon. Don't like it. And I can't eat avocado because I'm allergic. And he looks at me and goes, that's unfortunate. I was like, I know. I'm aware. So, anyway. But so far I've just got the onions and the green chilies in here. Christy, I love how that always goes to John instead of Joan. Hilarious. Anyway. A little spoon rest there. While this is just doing its thing. Now those are starting to soften up. I am going to put the ground beef in there real quick. Like I said, this is a chicken enchilada recipe, and I am adapting it to ground beef. Because if I made it chicken, I'd be eating the whole thing by myself. But with ground beef, my family will eat it as well. Oh, well, anyway, sorry, my energy's really low today, so I apologize for that. I'm trying to kind of psych myself up, but just not at my best today, so I will apologize for that. Just kind of somber. There's some stuff going on that I can't really discuss online. So anyway, on the bright side, I got you guys to talk to. I got you guys to hang out with. So I'm not going to be sitting on my couch being sad all day. Woohoo! So thank you guys for that. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it more than you know. Okay. Rinse those black beans off. Let those sit for a bit. I'm going to put this to the side. And again, while we wait for that stuff, it just happens. Some days are great, some days are not. I'm also a little underslept. The hubs and I stayed up too late last night. He cut the front yard last night. It's blasted hot here, but he cut it after dinner, and he just needed time to relax, and he waited till like 8 o'clock to cut the grass so that it was cool enough. It was under 90 at least when he cut the grass. So that ended up getting us to bed kind of late, because then of course he had to wind down and he had to get a shower, and by the time we did all that, we went to bed a little later than we normally do. So now, that being said, I'm technically a very I would consider myself a night owl. Yes, I know it's too big, but I don't have one that size. So I consider myself a night owl. But because he has to be up early for work, I adapt. So other friends here? No. Anyway, that's funny. I'm looking at this because I've not done this in a while. I have not made this in a long, long while. I appreciate that, Christy. That's very sweet of you to say. Oop, gotta add in my garlic. Listen, Krabby. Talk back to me. Doesn't have to be fully cooked because we're going to throw it in the oven for 20 minutes anyway. So just mostly cooked. So yeah, it's smoky here too. They're literally telling anybody with any kind of lung issues not to go outside. And quick TMI, when I blew my nose this morning, it was like the middle of winter. So I know my sinuses are like irritated. Which is funny. I don't get as irritated as most people because I'm a native to this place. So I actually had a doctor tell me that one time. She's like, I can tell you're native to here. And I was like, what do you mean? She goes, yeah, your sinuses don't look like people who, the sinuses of people who weren't raised here look different. I was like, really? She's like, oh yeah, they're a mess in the springtime. You don't look too bad. So we have a lot of pollen. My father had terrible spring allergies. I felt so bad for him. He would go through a box of tissues a day. And this is a man who carried a handkerchief. So what's that tell you? Anyway. I am also going to, because I know what's going to happen here in the next little bit, I'm going to want to drain out some of that. This is 85-25. I'd rather have like 90-10 or 92, 93-7 or whatever, or 92-8, any of it, whatever. But this is all I had. It was my last pound of ground beef. So I learned this, I forget where I learned this from. Some cooking show. If you don't want to drain it and do all the rigmarole, you just do this. And yes, it's the waste of a paper towel, but for here, we're going to do it. Yeah, my husband. Now, my husband just had. I don't think I was doing the show yet, but my husband had. He had work done. He had a deviated septum. He had that fixed, and then he had what his doctor called extraordinarily large, something called turbinates. So they had to reduce the size of them, which is a really interesting thing to have somebody say to you. So he had that surgery, and a friend of mine, her daughter had the same surgery, and after she had the surgery, she told her mom it's like going from breathing through a straw through breathing through a wind tunnel. So, and my husband said he breathes a lot better since he had the surgery, which is good because it wasn't a pleasant surgery at all. So yeah, it was very successful for him. Couldn't breathe for 3 days. He was a mouth breather for 3 solid days because there was no way he could breathe through his nose with the swelling and all that. So there you go. For the most part, a couple of paper towels and you don't have to take all your stuff out of there. So we're gonna put that in the garbage. Put that over here. And then we'll add in our corn. Extra veggies. And then we'll add in our black beans. I'm just going to stir that all in. Again, just opening a bunch of cans, to be honest, which is nice. I mean, you could use dried onions if you were in a hurry. If you didn't want to cut up the onion, you could use, for lack of a better term, you could use garlic. If you didn't want to cut up your, oh, excuse me, my nose is itching. If you didn't want to cut up an onion, you could use dried. You could use, whatever. So I'm gonna put all that together. You could make homemade enchilada sauce if that's your thing. I'm using this. You could use green if you wanted. You could use a different brand if you wanted. All those things would work. So this recipe calls for 3 cups. And you do it a couple of different ways. I'm going to do it a couple different ways. One of the things they do is they tell you to start with putting it on the bottom of the pans over there, which I'll get in just a second. So no, I do not have an electric can opener, believe it or not. I had one of the ones that was battery operated, but that thing, oh my gosh, I can do this faster. It was crazy. How long it took. And I made a little mess. Ta-da. Okay, easy to fix. Now, put a little bit in the bottom here, just so we can cover the bottom of the pan, this is kind of a small 9x13, if that makes sense. It says it's 9x13, but I have 9x13s that look a lot bigger than this, to be honest. But it fits in my little oven back there. And then I'm going to pour some in here, and I'm going to leave enough to pour over the top. I'm going to set that there. Again, I'm going to stir this in. Probably could have used the bigger pan, but I'm going to reuse this one, so I have a lot of dishes on this one. And these pans don't go into the dishwasher, so they've got one of those, they're ceramic coated, so they tell you not to put it in the, not to put it in there. And I'm going to add, where'd it go? There's the cumin. There it is. I'm going to add a little chili powder to this. A little chili powder. And I'm going to add a little bit of cumin. Just for fun. Gives it that nice smoky flavor. So. I used to have one when my kids were little, but every time I'd open a can, it would wake them up. So I was like, let's just switch. There was a can opener and something else. It wasn't a blender. I don't think it was a food processor. Food processor. It was something else. Every time I used them, it would wake a kid up. I think I had a really loud hand mixer at the time. That's what it was. And whichever one was sleeping, every time. And it was all of them. So I had to stop using things like that for a while. Because 2 of my 3 were a nightmare to get to go down for a nap. They just, I don't know why, but they thought sleep was a 4-letter word. I kept telling them it wasn't. They didn't believe me. It was funny because yesterday was my grandson's birthday, and I love this. My son and his wife told them he could pick what they were going to do all day yesterday. So they did, and then at the end of the day, he wanted to watch a movie, and it had been such a full day. They were just sure it would put him to sleep. At midnight, my son was like, "Hey, buddy, you and I are going to go take a ride." The ride knocked him out finally. But he's like, yeah, screens, if he's not looking at a screen, he is not going to sleep. So it was funny. All right, now we're going to put some of this in here. I'm going to turn this down because it's starting to stick a little on the bottom. And I don't want it to stick. Move these guys. I don't think I needed that many. I'm going to be sorry I cut them all. I should have cut them as I needed them. I'm a goofball. What can I say? So for my World Cup fans out there, if you're there, who are we wanting to win? I think the whole world. I would love to hear it because we got Spain versus Argentina. I would love to hear if there's any football fans out there, or soccer, however you want to, whatever word you want to use is fine with me. See what you think. So, but cats aren't dumb. Okay, so there's our first layer. And then we're going to put another layer. Okay. We're going to put number 2 on. I think the world is with you on that one, Joan. My son has been a Spain fan from the beginning. He's been calling it. Everybody was saying it was going to be England versus Argentina, which wasn't going to happen, but my son has said, or France, excuse me, versus Argentina. And my son has been saying all along that that Spain was going to be there. And he was right. He follows a couple leagues, like the Bundesliga in Europe. And so he watches all those players, and he loves those guys. So, anywho, all right, we are going to. This is going to be. I'm gonna have to put this on a tray because I am. If it goes over, I don't want it to make a huge mess. So we're gonna put the rest of this sauce on top. I'll put that on the sink. Hope that works. All right, watch this. Hi, Tiffany. Welcome in. We are making an enchilada casserole. Ooh, that is right to the top. Hence the reason it's on here. So hopefully it doesn't go over. I think it said 350, right? 375. So we're gonna bake it. That's what I want. Function. Bake. We're going to bake at 400 for 20 minutes. That one says 375. I always have to cook 25 degrees higher than that. I don't know why, but I do. And then we're going to pull it out. We're going to put some cheese on it. Pop it back in. In the meantime, next up, I said I was going to use the same pan just because. One less thing to wash. For me. And I'll eat this. Again, this will be lunches for several days. But one nice thing about doing this, I don't cook much over the weekend unless I'm just playing around with recipes. So we always have so much that we need to get rid of, if you will. And I haven't learned to cook for 3 or less. So, although most of my recipes that I have, I guess I could downsize them. And I would do that if it was just my husband and myself, because it can get a little crazy. So I'm going to make a Mexican cauliflower rice, if you will. And it'll just, because the rice is pre-cooked, which is nice, it doesn't take very long. Just got to get it all going. I love a leftover. I do. Now, see, in my house, we weren't allowed to have leftovers. My kids, if I would say, they'd say, what are we having? I'd say, leftovers. They go, ew, gross. But they'd say, well, what are we having for dinner? I'm like, clean out the fridge night. And they're like, yay. So we had a lot of clean out the fridge nights. Oh. Anyway. And I was going to put this in first, and I forgot. With a little bit of oil. I am proof that you can just adapt, or if things don't go exactly right, you can just throw stuff in there late, all that stuff. So, yeah, Ruby, my kids were a crack up that way. Where in the world did I put that? Okay, it's missing. I had a little, there it is. It's hiding underneath the knife. Okay. My little scraper thing there. And get my garlic in there. Oh my goodness. What's funny about this is I spent so much of my life learning how to clean up after myself. Yeah, it's interesting. My son in his life, I looked at what they were throwing away the last time we were up there. I was like, oh my goodness. I was like almost horrified. And I was like, you know what? I'm not paying for their food. They can do what they want. I didn't want to cut up another onion. So where I used a regular onion for the last thing, using this. And I'm going to have some more. I'm going to put some more green chilies into mine. So I'm going to make a cauliflower fried rice, or fried rice, Mexican rice, and I'm going to make a regular, just a little kind of regular one, because my son wants a little bit of rice too. My family's not big on casseroles. This is one that they'll eat, but they don't. My husband loves things really saucy, so the more sauce, the better for him. IT guy, it's just the opposite. He doesn't like things really juicy, so he wants some rice that will soak up the juice. So, and yes, I could be that woman who says, you eat what I make, or I'm not, whatever. It doesn't do it for me. I like us all to enjoy dinner. Now, there are certain dinners I make where it's like, if you don't want this, you can get yourself something else, especially stuff like my husband likes that the kids may not like. So, absolutely. I love a repurposed meal. I was like, what? One of my green chilies is orange. Happens now and then. So I'm gonna add a little cumin to that. I'm getting better, Christy. I really am. Like I said, when I had my older boys at home, I never wanted for empty space in my refrigerator because one was an athlete, one was in marching band. Well, they were both athletes. One was a year-round athlete. He played soccer and he played everything at some point. He played basketball at one point. He played tennis at one point. He played volleyball. My youngest one played soccer and volleyball, or middle one. Sorry, my youngest one doesn't. IT guy's not into sports. Never was. And it was so funny because we had all these parents who would say to us, hi, Alice, welcome in. We are making enchilada casserole, which is currently in the oven. And I'm making some cauliflower Mexican rice right now. And then I'm going to make some not authentic, but regular rice. Yeah, that was the other thing he asked. And I was like, he asked me to make that Mexican rice. I'm like, you don't like tomatoes. And I said, I'll make it with tomato paste. And he's like, okay. So I'm only going to use half this can because that's a lot of tomatoes. And I love tomatoes, but I want it to be rice. More like rice, not more like tomatoes. But I will use these fire roasted tomatoes and something else this weekend. So, oh yeah, I'm sure, Joan. You almost need to make smaller versions of things. The other thing is, with like I said, when my older two were home, I never had to worry about that. They were always scrounging because they weren't huge on breakfast, but to appease me, they would take a little something. I know they didn't always eat it, but it made me feel better as a mom to send them out with something. But you don't need to do that. Call him up, IT guy. Excuse me, I'm letting my dogs out. So they're going to bark. I think we're getting a delivery. So, okay, they're out. All right, sorry about that. Okay, so now I'm really just kind of getting this so it'll dry out. That's Actually, mine is currently calling me the Tetris expert because we're having to Tetris everything in because there's so many leftovers now. And then it's like, all right, what are we going to do with these leftovers? So I have been, like the full madame I've had for breakfast 2 days this week. I've had the French onion chicken 2 days for lunch this week. We'll have the cabbage burgers at some point over the cabbage steak burgers, whatever you want to call them. We'll have those a couple times this weekend. So yeah, we'll be ready to go. So I'm going to put this over on the stove, put a lid on it to keep it warm, because we've got 2 more dishes to make. I don't have room for everything. All right, next up. Corn. Get off there so it doesn't burn. But throw some oil in there. Anybody else have like pans you've had forever? I've been married to my husband for 33 years. It was 33 years last month. And I've had this longer than I've had him. It's a great little pan. I don't know why I still have it, but I do. So, let's see if it's ready. Nope. I'm going to wait on that because I don't want that to... But yeah, I don't use it all the time anymore, but I do love the pan. Come on. Heat up. Oh, hi, Rosalinda. Oh, now that scares me. With a name like that. Please don't judge me. Please don't judge me. I'm making an enchilada casserole and some sides to go with it. I just did a Mexican rice, but I did it with cauliflower rice because I have to watch my carb intake. So this is what I would call a riff on Mexican street corn. It is not Mexican street corn. It's just a riff on it. First, we're going to char up the corn a little bit. So, well, there you go. That was obviously a good brand, whatever she had. So, I do have some Regalware that I had from that I took from my first marriage. So, my first husband wasn't happy when I took all the pots and pans. But it was his fault because he said, how about you take what your family gave us, I'll take what my family gave us. And I'm like, fair. So we split the dishes. He kept the everyday dishes, which we had a full set of. I took the china, which wasn't exactly china. I liked more modern stuff back then. And then he kept the microwave. And there were several things that he kept. So I basically took the china. He kept the silverware because he said most of his family purchased most of it. And then I went and I grabbed the knife block. And it's like, what are you doing? And I said, you're the one who said your family you keep, my family I keep. I said, my uncle gave us the knife block and all the knives in it, including the steak knives. And he looks at me and goes, you're going to leave me without a knife? I'm thinking, you're leaving me without any cups. But we were told if there was any contesting when we got to the hearing, because we did a dissolution, he said, if there's one fork that you argue over, they'll throw it out and you'll have to go through a divorce instead of a dissolution. So I handed him one steak knife. And I was like, that should get you through. I'm like, you kept everything else. So that was like the snottiest I got, to be honest with you. My friend said I was nuts because we had been together long enough as a couple, not married, but we'd been together long enough that I could have taken half of everything. I just didn't want to. So they're like, you're crazy. I said, look, I walked away with my head held high and my dignity intact, and I have no regrets. I had zero regrets about that. So I'm going to turn that up a little bit so I can try the corn. But anyway, so, and there were a lot of people who said that we had the most amicable divorce they had ever seen, which I think is hilarious. And we didn't fight over stuff. That's the closest we came to a fight was that knife block. But I still have that knife block, by the way. So I also have a husband now who's not threatened by things like that because he knows the only sentimentality is that my great uncle, he was actually my great uncle, gave that to us, and he met my now husband met that great uncle, and they had the best time because my great uncle flew in World War II, and he was in the European theater, and so he was telling my husband and my sons when we went out to dinner about things that happened and that he could share with us. And then he became a pilot for United Airlines when he got out of the Air Force, and they got to go to Russia like back in the 70s when nobody went to Russia. They got to go. So my sons and my husband were just in awe of listening to his stories of all the things that he did and all the adventures he had. So that's why that knife block is sentimental to me. It reminds me of someone I cared for very deeply. He lived to be 99, by the way. So he outlived all of his siblings. He was the youngest, which he outlived him anyway, but like my grandpa passed away at 62, I believe. So he big time outlived that, his oldest brother. And then I think their sister lived to be fairly old. She was in her like upper 80s, I believe. So anyway, a little bit of chili powder in there. This is my beans. My very quick Americanized beans. Yes, I'm putting salsa in there. Please don't kill me. And then a little bit of queso. This is how my kids liked it. Oh, that's not good. Ew, I'm glad I looked. Ugh. Nope, that's trash. Hey, IT guy, I need you to get the other queso out. This one's thick. It is in the garbage. Come on, hurry up, you little boogers. Back right of the upper. I know. I told him where it was. Getting to it is another thing entirely. So, yeah, for the most part, things are just things. So, as a matter of fact, I don't wear it because it's too small for me right now, and I've already had it resized once. But my wedding ring, my husband and I had like no money. We were in debt. We were working our debt out, and he, God love him, he wanted me to have something really special, and I said, look, same thing like you just said, things are things. I am not a huge fan of like, it is a little bit at a time, Christy, where yesterday was a fairly good day. We got 7 new subscribers, which was awesome. Last week was a little shaky, but I think it was the post holiday So hopefully people will come back, and we've got some really fun things, and we're working on setting things up better, if that makes sense, and cooking things that people are actually looking for and that kind of stuff. So anyway, but yeah, we're IT guy and I are going to the yes, I get that at Costco, but you can get it at Kroger. I know Bird's Eye has fried rice or cauliflower rice, and you can buy it as like uh, I know there's a cauliflower fried rice, several brands out there. As far as Mexican rice, I don't know that you would find that, but all right, I'm just gonna open up my crema here. Okay, if you're not a huge fan of sour cream, crema, people, so good, so good, so much better than sour cream. If you don't want that tang, if you want the tang, definitely, but if you don't, um, crema is wonderful. It is looser than sour cream, so it's not going to have that like thickness to it, but man, is it good. It's got such a lovely flavor. Okay, and then I'm going to set that down for just a second. And then this is some cotija cheese. Yes, I like it cheesy. So we're going to do that. Cheese and the beans. Nothing wrong with that, right? All right, so we're going to put that to the side. And like I said, it's a riff on it because it doesn't have all the mayonnaise and stuff like that. You don't have a lime, so it won't have the lime juice. And I don't do cilantro because I got the gene, sadly. I got the gene. Which I found out, I actually always thought, why did I get that? And I was like, what I found out was, I always thought, why do I have the mutant gene? Well, I don't have the mutant gene. Thing is, yum. People who like cilantro actually have the mutant gene, which I find interesting. So, queso. Okay, there's something on top there. I'm going to get rid of that. I think it might be the cheese I just used, but just in case it's not. Alrighty. So I'm going to put a big old dollop of queso in there. This stuff is so good. If you have a Costco membership or you know somebody who does, have them get this for you. It's so good. It's great for nachos. All right. Cool. This is going to work out. Woohoo. All right. And I mix all this in. I don't know. There's just something about, I've always had refried beans and rice with my Mexican food. And yes, if I go to the restaurant, I eat rice. But if I make it for myself at home, it's cauliflower rice. And I do love it. Keeps those carbs low, all that good stuff. And I'm going to turn that down just a little more. So, oh, it's always the men, isn't it? It's always the men. John, welcome. Just welcome. Oh, sweetie, you can't hurt my feelings. So don't even try. Oh. Someday I'll tell you the reason why. Nobody can hurt my feelings that way. Someday I'll share that with you. That one I might do a subscribers only and tell you guys some of the things, why I say some of the things I say. It's a little personal. So I will save that for the people that it's worth saying it to. So I think Joan and I may have had the conversation. She may know why. But Joan and I have known each other online for about 10, I think it's 11 years now. Yeah, 11 years. And we were in a creativity group together. That's how we crossed paths for the first time. It was so wonderful. And we met people from all over the world that we're still friends with, both of us. We met somebody that we still are both in contact with from the Philippines, and several from Ireland. The person who ran it was from Ireland. Some from England. I'm trying to think, there were other places. I don't keep in touch with everybody, but I keep in touch with a fair amount of them. Some of them were from the U.S. too, but like Joan. Like, she's in Florida and I'm in Ohio, so we have not ever met face to face, but we've talked on the phone and we exchange pleasantries and we know about each other's lives. And so I know the internet can be a wonderful place. Not always, but it can be a wonderful place. Depends on what we decide to use it for. And I choose to use it for good. So, Christy. Oh. Anyway, I was telling Mr. 513 about you guys. I said, really, when it comes to trolls, for the most part, I don't even have to say anything. I was like, my friends do it for me, and I love it. They start hammering on IT guy to do what he needs to do. So, oh yeah, Australia. We have a couple friends each in Australia. Yeah. And we've been through, like, it's so weird sometimes when you go through stuff with people from online that like one of our friends lost her lifetime, like they had been together for like 20 years. And she lost him since we've been friends, and just, you just kind of become this weird little family online, which is wild. Like, I was talking about this the other day, was that we have this friend who, he does an online radio show, and he and Joan, man, they talk about music. I mean, I love music, and I used to be a DJ. I'm not as up on a lot of music as I used to be, but I'm just going to put this in the oven long enough to melt this. And while that's melting in there, turn it on for about 5 minutes. Not that. Thank you. All right. We've sprung a leak. Anyway, I'm gonna grab a plate here. Honestly, if I were doing this with just my family, I would probably just put it all in a bowl. But I will be, for your sakes, I will be civilized. Oh, goodness me. So put this to the side. I don't know what this came from. Okay. Oh, now I do. It came from the tortilla cheese. Yeah, I didn't realize. I cut the top off, not realizing. I thought it was this kind of zipper. No, it was just on the front of the bag. It wasn't the whole bag. So now I have to use a clip. Oh. So Joan and Ruby are awesome, and I love it. I love that, now we've got another little band of merrymakers, because, we've got Christy on the East Coast, and Ruby's my next door neighbor here, state-wise. And then, like I said, Joan's my southern friend who's not from the South. I loved your post today where you were considered a damn Yankee at one point when she lived in Louisiana years ago. So, cracked me up. So I'm going to go grab some of my rice, and I will be right back. And I'm going to get some of the corn, and I'll talk to you guys while I do that. So, all right. I didn't make IT guys rice yet, but I'll make that when I'm off camera since we're almost at time. And then, okay, so none of this is hard, to be honest. I mean, if you look, I made 4 dishes in an hour. And you wouldn't have, I mean, the hard part, like I said, Joan lives alone, so that's a lot of leftovers. You could certainly cut down the enchilada casserole a whole bunch, but then you'd still have a lot of the ingredients. So I don't know. I don't know. Not sure how to completely cut that one down for just one person. I think I will use, I'm going to use a spat. No, I don't think that's going to work. I'm going to use this spoon right here to get myself some of the enchilada casserole. Put this off to the side because it's burbling. Not a parsley, which I was going to put on the top. It doesn't look really pretty the way this is, but I don't care. It's still going to be delicious. And that's something I used to like have arguments with people who would say, well, just do this and just do that. And I'm like, that's not realistic. That's not how people eat. You know, they're like, they would put like 3 handfuls of parsley on something. And I'm like, nobody eats like that. And they're like, yeah, but it looks good on camera. I'm like, what do you do with it then? And they're like, oh, I just throw it away. I'm like, that kills me. You know, as we were talking about it, Christy, the food waste. It just makes me want to cry. It's like, no, we don't want to waste food like that. I have a friend who took a cake decorating class, and at the end of every class, she would take the cake outside and throw it in the garbage. And I'm like, man, go give it to the homeless or something, would you? Don't just throw it in the garbage. That just seems so sad. All right, I'm going to put this back in the oven so it's nice and warm for the rest of the fam. And I'm going to use this, speaking of reduce, reuse, recycle, the spoon that I used to put the queso in the beans. Put that right there. Put this away. Ooh, yeah, we'll be eating that for a few days. That one I might give, I might give away some of that. That's the other thing I do. I've got a sister-in-law who takes care of a lot of people. And oh yeah, New Orleans. My aunt was raised in a town called Starks, Louisiana. And when I was in high school and we went to visit, they were very excited. The teenagers that were my age, we were like 15, I think. They were very excited because they got their second traffic light in town. And so that tells you how small that town was. Now, I was raised around a lot of country folk. I am in no way criticizing them for that, okay, or making fun of them in any way, because these were people who know how to slaughter a calf and put up meat for the whole weekend for the whole winter. And they raise the animal themselves. So, no shade, trust me. As a matter of fact, when I was very little, friends of my parents, his mother lived up the street from them. He forced them to get electricity. She still cooked on a potbelly stove. We called her Mammy. And just so you know, she was white, but we called her Mammy. she grew most of what she ate. Just country people are just, I hate when people look down on country people because country people have a depth of knowledge that city folks don't understand. But then again, city folks can do things that country people can't do. All right, so I'm gonna take one bite with everything. Mm, so good. Um, yeah, I'm the same, Joan. It just kind of horrified me. I'm like, don't do that. There's so many people who could use it. And I have a friend out in San Francisco right now. She works at a food bank, and a lot of the restaurants out there donate anything they have left over. And like the bakeries and produce places, they have farmers markets, and they do anywhere from 800 to 1,000 bags every time she works there. And she works there at least a couple times a week. So, all right, so this is my Mexican rice. Most people would want to add some salt to that. I've got fire roasted tomatoes in there. I've got green chilies, some mild chili powder, and cauliflower rice. I love it. It's really good. Um, Again, I think most people would want to put salt in there, but when I add it with everything else, I don't even miss the salt. And then I've got the corn, which um, has the chili powder. I guess I'm sorry, the rice had cumin in it, not chili powder, but the corn has chili powder and crema and cotija cheese. And you char the corn a little bit before you put all that good stuff in there. I'm telling you, it just makes the corn so good. Um, yes, agreed, Christy. And then the beans, listen, they're nowhere close to homemade beans. I mean, homemade refried beans are just amazing, but I just don't make them. Not when I can buy them in a can. I love them when I get them, and that's why I kind of zhuzh it up. I love this. Like I said, I love this white queso, and then whatever brand you want. Okay, I usually add some salsa in it. Just gives it a nice flavor. And now for the casserole. Like I said, this was a chicken casserole, but I just used ground beef with it. I also use gluten free. Um, I don't know if they're taco shells or if they're what they call them, tortilla wraps. So anyway, so gorgeous. I'll pick that up real quick. Oh dear. And honestly, you could take this all together, put it and make it almost like a. I wish I hadn't cut all these, like I said. Just use like we did the other day with the full madams. You could do it like that and just eat it up. Yeah, there you go. Mm. Oh my gosh, you guys, that's so good. And again, if you want to make it stuff from scratch, go ahead and make it from scratch. But if you just want to dump some cans and enjoy it, you could almost take that if you didn't put the taco seasoning or the taco tortillas in there. Um, I'm guessing it's Lee, but or is it Scott? It's Scott. Okay. Welcome in. If you could almost make that a soup, honestly, if you didn't put the tortillas in there, and it would make a really delicious taco soup. To be honest with you, the black beans are actually one of the healthiest beans you can eat. They've got one of the highest amounts of fiber, highest amounts of iron. They're really, really good for you. So wherever you can throw in the black beans or like the tricolor beans instead of something else, give that a shot. So anyway, that's what we got for today, and I will be back on Monday. can't remember what Monday is, but I know Tuesday, our Taco Tuesday, is going to be a Cincinnati mashup with Taco Tuesday. We're gonna do our best to make a skyline smash burger taco. So saw a recipe for that. So we're gonna try that and see if we can make that. Actually, YouTube suggested it, so we're gonna try to work that out, and we're gonna have that on Tuesday. We're gonna do beef Wellington bites on Thursday, and I can't remember what's Monday and Wednesday, but it'll be good. If you want to find out for sure, I'm going to be sending out an email on Monday, and you can go to the Gluten Free from the 513 website, or it's in my bio on YouTube, and you click on that, and you can join our email list. And I don't even get the email out every week, to be honest with you, but you're not going to hear from me for more than maybe once a week. So anyway, I just want to wish you guys a really happy rest of your day, a really great weekend. Stay cool because it's going to be hot everywhere. Yes, I take Fridays off now. We're doing Monday. I hope you get to get rid of your Mexican craving then, Joan. But yes, tomorrow, Christy, we will, and we don't have a video for this week. We will have for next week, I think, right? We'll have a video for next week, or will you have one for tomorrow? Probably not. Okay, probably not. So anyway, yes, have a good weekend, everybody. I will be back on Monday. And as always, eat well, be well, and I love you guys. See you Monday. Bye-bye.